Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Alex. I'm here to do some housework and motivate people to do something in their house or just chill out and watch a speed cleaning in progress. There's something I've been hearing from other people about motivation and not waiting for motivation to get you to do things you need to do, but to get actual routines in place. And I've always really struggled with this. This is part of the reason why I created the channel, just for some accountability for myself. And I know how much everybody struggles. Not everybody, but I know that a large amount of people struggle with keeping on top of home maintenance, daily maintenance. So I was thinking about myself as being a very intuitive person recently, and the kind of person who doesn't have the motivation to do anything unless it has to be done. So I remember this very kind of interesting time from my life when I went off to college. I was 20 years old. I had attended a college near my parents' house where I lived with them and went to the college for the first year. And then I got into the school of my dreams, Cooper Union in New York City. And I was living in the dorms for only the first semester, so not even a full year. And before moving to the dorms, you have this questionnaire, which is like, how often do you think the apartment needs to be cleaned or your room or something like that? And the options were every day, twice a week, or whenever it needs cleaned. And I put down whenever it needs cleaned because that's how I have always operated in my life, actually, until now, really. When I'm really starting to think about this now in my mid 40s. So I put down whenever it needs to be cleaned because I'm an intuitive person, and if I it for me, like, having a schedule never made sense because, like, if it's dirty every day, then clean it every day. If it's um dirty once a month, then you clean it once a month. Like, you just look around yourself and you decide if things need to be cleaned or not. And what ended up happening was that I ended up with one, two, three, four other people in the dorm. So it was a five-person dorm, and none of them cleaned ever. And the reason why I even like picked this five-person dorm because there was a small chance that somebody would get the single room without a roommate. So it's a two-person, two rooms that hold two people each, and then one room, which was a very, very small chance of getting that room to myself because the RA, which is a the whoever the how the I don't know, they're like the people who are in charge of making sure everything's okay on the floor or something. So the RA would get the single room, but there's like a very small chance that if there were already all of those RAs already got a single room, then um a few students actually had their own room. So that's why I chose that room with that many people in the apartment itself. Um, and of course, I did not get the room, and also living with a RA kind of was not that great because we did actually end up getting in trouble for drinking beer in the dorm, which would not have happened if the RA didn't live in the same apartment, but also it would not have happened if we weren't like drinking. I mean, I think anyway, yeah, people were underage for sure. I think I was 20 years old. So not super underage, but I actually was in my room at the time of the incident, and the people who were out, like somebody, they and my roommates were being kind of careless. It was one of my roommates and then like three of our friends from the dorm, and they were just being kind of stupid about it and just like drinking right in the kitchen, which I don't understand why they did that. But knowing that we had an RA in our apartment and I could think she wasn't there, but then she got there or something like that. So I was in my room with my beer on my desk and nobody saw it. Anyway, I don't, this is like, not the greatest story. And I'll get back to the tangent that, what this has to do with cleaning. But actually, that incident with the RA really kicked one of our friends into gear, maybe even two of them, because there was a kid who like very nearly got expelled and because of this beer incident, and it really caused him to take things very seriously, and he started spending a lot more time on his like artwork, on his essays. And then I remember the teachers being like, "Wow, what happened? You were like, um, they were like using his work as an example, and he really like buckled down." And sometimes I think those things act to like really motivate people when you're just so scared to lose this scholarship, because everybody who went to the school went on a scholarship and they only took like, I think it was like 60 people per year for the art program and something maybe like 100 people for architecture, or maybe 60 and then 100 some for engineering. So it was a tiny school that was extremely prestigious because they only took so few people and because every single person got a scholarship. Now, there was an issue with like mismanaging funds, and I'm not sure that the school still operates this way. I know that for a while they did charge tuition and then it was rolled back, and I'm not exactly sure what the status is right now. But it's like kind of like winning the lottery getting into this school. And the fact that this kid was like not was so close to getting kicked out, um, really encouraged him to take it very seriously. So that's enough on that. Whatever. Long, very long story tangent. But the the thing about the cleaning was that nobody cleaned. I brought, because maybe I'm kind of domestic to begin with, I brought an entire set of dishes from IKEA, like a box of bowls, two different kinds of plates, and like all these kind of things. So, cups, mugs, silverware. Nobody else brought a single thing for the household. There were no cleaning supplies. I think back in the day there was like a Kmart, so like across the street, right in the middle of New York City. So that was cool. Like we could get stuff, but nobody came with any house stuff. So my giant box of dishes, which had like it was an eight set, had everything everybody needed for the whole household. And people would make themselves meals and use all my like pots and pans and dishes and just leave them in the sink. Because they had paired us all together, all of the people who said clean when it's needed. Like intuitively clean or whatever it is. No, not a specific time that, dishes need to be done once a day, or floors need to be mopped. I don't even, maybe like nobody mopped ever in that apartment. That's very possible. And I remember like looking at the piles in the sink and thinking like, I know that I did not leave those. I know that those are from the other people. My own roommate was pretty good with this. She had like one bowl and she just had cereal in the morning and she washed her bowl and she had pasta sauce, like she was vegetarian. So she just had like red sauce on boiled pasta every single night for the entire however many, like I don't remember how long a semester is, like 4 or 5 months that I knew her, like that's what she had. I had to get out of the dorms like as soon as possible, and I had a great opportunity. My friends had an apartment way out in Astoria, but it was actually cheaper. It was my own room, so I'm very used to having my own room because I never had a sibling growing up, always had my own room. Very used to privacy like that. So, anyways, nobody cleaned at the dorms. One time, these girls like staged this. I think they like got fed up, right? And also, like, I wasn't willing to clean up anybody else's mess, and my roommate wasn't. So, whatever that like gigantic pile of dishes for that sat there for like 2 months was not like I think that people would just forget that it existed. And you know what? This is okay, another quick small tangent. I was on Reddit and I saw this guy's post. He said, like my roommate left one cup in the sink and I took a photo of it and it's still there a week later. Then he left a bowl and he went away to somewhere for 2 weeks. And I took a photo of it. And now he's back, and now he put like two forks in the sink. And I took a photo of that. What should I do? Should I tell him? And I thought that this was like the most absurd thing in the entire world. Like, the fact that if you're not going to just take care of it, and I've known people in living arrangements with roommates where one roommate just doesn't do the dishes. They just don't do it. You can't make them do it. It's kind of like one of my kids just like is will not do certain things, just won't. And maybe that will improve with time, but for now it's just like a no. And the amount of like pain and sweat and tears to get that thing to happen and the arguments is just kind of not worth it. Especially like in the case of the Reddit post where this roommate, it's not like they're leaving a massive amount of dishes every single day, but if it's like one or two things, obviously they don't remember. Or you can tell them, you could remind them, but like the amount of passive aggressiveness that it takes to take a photo of the thing and wait months and months for them to like deal with it and posting it online instead of just saying like, hey, this needs to be done. Um, yeah, so going back to our apartment in the dorms, we so these girls eventually cleaned it up and they did it so dramatically and put up these like biohazard signs everywhere, which they didn't take down. They taped out biohazard signs everywhere. They cleaned the apartment. I think after that they were better at it, but it was still like once they were done using something, it's like they completely had no recollection of it. Maybe because it wasn't like I thought about the fact that I bought all this stuff, so maybe that removed it from feeling like their thing. So if they used the bowl, it was like, oh, now it's Alex's bowl that they're gonna leave in the sink now. I don't know, but it really got me thinking about the type of people who intuitively just get to things when things need to be gotten to, and how that can really set you up for failure if the goal is, if you are overwhelmed in your space and if the goal is to have better habits for yourself, you probably do need a little bit of like a kick in the pants to actually put in some routines, which is very difficult for people like me. So, what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to become, in my middle age, I'm trying to become the kind of person that on a survey would not put that anymore, would actually say that I would have a routine for dealing with things, because whatever it is that happens in my brain that tells it like when things need to be done is kind of messed up. And I know that that's true for so many people. Now, another fun anecdote I have about messiness and dishes was when I lived in this loft building where roommates were always coming and going. So, one guy who moved in was a really young guy. He was like 19 years old. I think at this point I was like 24 or 25. So I was already like a couple of years out of school. Maybe I wasn't even, maybe I was only like a year out of college because I started kind of late. Like I was like the older kid because when I came to the States in 1992, I was like, kind of, it was a choice to go either into fourth grade or fifth grade. And we walked around and we looked at the fifth grade class, and everyone was like sitting at desks writing. And we looked in the fourth grade class, and everyone was like sitting on the carpet, cross legged, like people were chatting, like people were doing crafts. And my mom was kind of like, yeah, this looks like better for you to go in the fourth grade. I was like, yeah, that looks a lot more relaxed. And I knew no English. Like I did ESOL, which is like English learning, whatever, for the first like couple of years of school. So I came in the middle of fourth grade, also like coming in the middle of the year, not knowing any English. Everybody just sort of agreed that it would be better for me to go into the fourth grade, even though I was old enough to be in the fifth grade for sure. Um, why am I saying this? Oh yeah, so that made me a, a later uh older person for everything, like college. I was like 18 in high school. So anyways, the point is that I one of the four roommates was this really young guy, very like charismatic and charming, but like a um what do you call it? Like somebody who lies all the time on purpose and they can't help it. Like he would just make up things about himself or about like bizarre person. And he took immaculate care of his clothing. Like he would hang dry stuff so it wouldn't shrink, so it wouldn't fade. Um, and I remember talking to him like, why do you spend so much time like on your clothes? It's kind of crazy. And he was like, don't you care about the way you present yourself? And I was like, not really. I got like paint all over my stuff. But he was one of these people who did not do the dishes. And after mm, there was a stretch of a couple of weeks where it was pots and pans and things from like a cooking session that he did, and he just left it in the sink. And I said to him, if you don't take care of this by the end of the day, I'm gonna put these dishes in your bed. And it was like a loft bed in his house, in his room. And sure enough, I got home like pretty late. It was like 11 p.m. And after like several weeks or up to a month, that those dishes were in the sink. And like I'm not the most like whatever on top of it person, but I did a lot of improvements to that apartment. Like I painted the floor, I think. I try to keep on top of it because it's when you have like a bunch of young people, things can get really disgusting. Oh, and also this guy would like flush handfuls of baby wipes down the toilet. And there was like the shower, like if you didn't get in the shower, there would be no shower for the next like hour and a half because there's only like 5 minutes worth of hot water. So it was a pretty crappy situation to live in. But long story short and long story long, I put this guy's dishes into his bed, like soaking wet, covered with month-old food. I took stacks of the dishes and I put it in his bed. And then and I go to bed or whatever. And then in the morning, and like sometime like 4 in the morning, I hear like, "Yo, what's what is this?" And he doesn't like he doesn't come in and wake me up. I hear like a girl giggling and like he's like, "Oh my God, my roommate." And what happened was he he got home with a girl that he picked up from the bar, and he left, and they went to go to bed, like to make out or whatever. And he could it's not like he came into the room and could see all the dishes, because they were like it was a loft bed, so you have to climb all the way up there, and then you see that your sheets and your bedding has all of these disgusting dishes from a very very dirty, disgusting dishes from a long time ago, sitting covering the whole bed. And he was like, I can't, like the next day it was just like, this girl like didn't know what to think. I can't believe you did that. But it was fine, whatever. I think the girl really liked him. And you know what happened that night? She got pregnant. She got pregnant, and they had a baby 9 months later, and he moved out to live with her in a different apartment and take care of this baby, I guess. I don't know. It's funny because he was like, I don't want to be an old dad. And I guess he was like a 19-year-old dad, which, you know what? I hope that worked out for him. I had emailed him like maybe a year or two after this, after he moved out. I think he went to live back in California where he was from. Yeah, so the moral of the story is do your dishes, kids, I guess, even though that doesn't seem to prevent anybody from wanting to hook up with you in your nasty dish covered bed. And funny enough, the guy did do his dishes the next day. Like he had put all of them into the sink, but then he did do them within the day. All right, hope you enjoyed the rant, and I'll see you in the next one.